Awesome. So we've got down the major attributes of leadership. Let's move over to effective leadership. We're going to look first of all at the two biggest forms of leadership. And the first way is leadership with the consent of the parties, right, which is super important. And then of course the second one is leadership by force, which is the less favorable one. I've personally been in both of these situations and had to be under as a follower by force and by consent. By force through Subway, by consent through some of the sales jobs I work right now, and then also the market, obviously. But with direct management, under like sales managers and department heads, especially for my local area, that's been more consent based, and that's had such a higher quality relationship than these forceful relationships that are just very bad. It's just not a good place to be in, and it sucks too because this force, like by force, right, it doesn't last, right? I was at Subway, for a year, but like I had to get out of there. And so many other people I know left before me because like these guys, the management, they were just like really like aggressive and mean. And it was not a good situation because they were managing by force. And so the downfall, it just occurs, and you see it in workplaces, you also see it in countries, right? Like Hitler and Mussolini, these guys are not staying in power for an extended period of times. It's a very short-term play. And you can create results, right? And you can come into power in the short term, but you're really not able to have a longer lasting image, right? So this would be like a long lasting legacy, right? Because this is the sort of place you want to be where and Ray Dalio, he talks about it in his book Principles, right? And the book review for that below, like the idea that you should have like a family with the people you're working with, and they should just be an extension of yourself, and using that as fuel to create such an interwoven marketplace, or interwoven facilities, right? So followers, they connect with the leader, right? And so because of that, everyone comes together and you have greater overarching team growth because you're able to focus on the individual aspects that matter 100% most to each other, and that lets you guys grow with each other at the same time as focusing on your goals, focusing on your secret formula, right? Like whatever your overarching long-term goal is. Super important. Just need to establish this relationship, right? Because if you're working, in a place where there's management by force, all of a sudden, division of labor, profits, all that stuff, all this relationship, all the partners of it, it's going to suck in the long term. It's just not going to work. This is why there are strikes. This is why there are revolts. This is why people get pissed off at their boss, right? You have to lead with the consent of other people, have them on your same team, and it's more work on the part of management, but it's going to create such a ridiculously stronger connection and repertoire with the people that you work with, and they're going to have higher outputs, be happy to work with you, be more loyal with you. And it all comes with this idea of shifting from job to job to job to job to, hey, let's actually try to decrease turnover, decrease churn. Let's keep people here. Let's keep people working together. Let's keep everybody the same, and use that as fuel to create a much stronger long-term company. Very powerful concept. So yeah, you got to embrace leadership by consent and be the brand that can endure, right? Stick with everyone, be yourself, and don't freaking fail, okay? Make sense? Make sense? I think it makes sense. You guys are good with it. You have to make sure leadership attributes, find abundant opportunity, and lead in any walk of life, all right? Cool. So now that we've got that, let's go ahead and break down some of basically the top 10 major causes of failure in leadership. And these are things where you're going to be able to avoid them now because you know about them, which is just awesome. And because of that, you'll be able to grow as a leader, grow as a influencer, and have people follow you, which is what you want to do to increase your wealth, increase your legacy, increase your impact. Very important stuff. So number one, inability to organize details. This is a problem, right? Efficient leadership calls for the ability to organize and to master details. No genuine leader is ever too busy to do anything which may be required as a leader. When a leader or follower is too busy to change plans or give attention to any emergency, it is an indication of inefficiency. The successful leader must be the master of all details connected with the position. This means, of course, that the habit of delegating details to capable lieutenants must be acquired. This is huge, right? You have to be able to hand off work to free up time. And if you can't hand off work, you have to be able to create time and make, you know, if you're in like restrictions, you have to make time restrictions, make them work. All right, sound good? Makes sense? Number 2, unwillingness to render humble service. Gotta be humble. Gotta be humble. Truly great leaders are willing, when occasion demands, to perform any sort of labor that they would ask another to perform. The greatest among ye shall be the servants of all is a truth that all able leaders observe and respect, right? So you got to be able to do the job you're outsourcing. So if you have somebody, you know, you're like leading your company, leading a team, leading whatever, right? And there's this one aspect that's really, really tedious and hard to do. And you started out doing it, but then you hire people to do it. Now you've grown and grown and grown and grown, which is awesome, right? You're making a higher and better use of your time. You always have to remember, you gotta be willing to be humble, gotta be willing to service your team. And if they seriously need help on something, you gotta be able to step in and do it, even if it sucks, right? But you're setting an example, right? Like, really, really awesome example with this. You guys remember Grant Cardone from 10X, right? He has this big office building, and his office building has a bunch of people, and they are on the phones like all day, just cold calling people, you know, selling stuff, right? And a lot of times they get inbound calls, they have outbound calls, whatever. The point is, there's a ton of people doing this job for him, and you know, that's kind of what he trains people to do, is how to like sell stuff. And so as everyone does their job, sometimes they would get discouraged. So Grant, he would come in and he would get on one of the phones and like just pick up the phone, answer it like he was somebody else, and then just like close the deal in front of everybody that had been struggling for the entire day. And that gives them the motivation, right, that they can go out there and do it. They can go out there and crush it. You gotta remember, this guy, he hired all these people because he didn't want to do this all day, but he still takes time out of his day every once in a while, still has to be humble to pick up the phone and do that job that he loves, right, and for other people, and show them and set an example, set a good role model, be a good role model for them, allow them to grow and show them the possibilities, show them that you're involved in the work, show them that you're involved in the project, involved in the team, and that's going to allow you to get out there and crush it, right, because you're connecting with the people you work with, you're connecting with your followers, and you're using that as fuel to increase loyalty, increase belief, and increase trust, all by stepping down from your throne and being just a little bit more humble. All right, number 3, expectations of pay for what they know instead of what they do with what they know. Huge failure is, you know, expecting to be paid for knowledge. Like, nobody cares, guys, what you know. It's all about how you can apply it into the marketplace to produce results and create revenue for the company, right? It doesn't freaking matter. The world does not pay for what people know. It pays for what they do or induce others to do. Must expect pay from results. Right, you can't expect to get paid for knowledge because knowledge doesn't bring in revenue. You got to think about, you know, what are the big green dots, or what are the, you know, massive amounts of cash that are going to come into the organization, come into your life. Like, what are the things that you can do, all right? But if it's outside of that range, maybe like you've got this, right? This is all like information, knowledge, like, but this knowledge doesn't actually bring in any money. If it doesn't bring in any money and it doesn't facilitate bringing in any money, then you can't expect to be paid for that. You're only going to get paid for the results you can create, right? And you should think about it in terms of, you know, even if you're an employee, even if you're working at a job where you're getting paid an hourly wage and you're trading your time for money, like, understand that the only reason you're actually getting paid that is because you create some kind of value for the company, and the value that you create is above what they're paying you out as like an hourly wage. So this would be like, you know, the amount that you get paid, and then this would be the revenue, right? And this is like the firm profit, right? So you have to make sure, like, no matter what job you're in, it doesn't matter if you're like getting paid by the hour. Everything you do is only existent because of the ability to make more money and produce higher value in the marketplace than you take out. That's a really big concept. Whether you're an employer, whether you're running your business, whether you're trying to sell stuff, you're doing a company, whatever it is, you have to make sure that you deliver significantly more value, or at least marginally more value than what you're delivering to the marketplace to be able to maintain that position consistently as both a team and an individual. Very cool, very important part, right? All right, number 4. Fear of competition from followers. Look, guys, if you're out there teaching people how to, I don't know, trade stocks, right? Like, you can't be afraid that people are going to go and trade all your stocks, and if you give them all your secrets, they're going to do everything that you're doing and copy or steal from you or stuff like that. Like, similarly, like, no matter what you're doing, if you're on a team working towards a project, doing a goal, it doesn't really freaking matter. Like, you have to be totally in sync with the people you're working with, and they have to be on your team. You can't be afraid of them. You can't be afraid of them going to competitors. Like, you have to have total faith and belief in them and use that as fuel for creating a strong, deep relationship to share each other's insights. What Hill says about this, he says, the leader who fears the ones of his followers may take his position as practically sure to realize the fears sooner or later, right? Mental visualization leads to physical manifestation. Of able leaders train understudies to whom they may delegate at will. Only in this way may leaders multiply themselves and prepare to be at many places and give attention to many things at one time. Remember, right? Like, if you're training more people to work under you, and you give those people your skills, right? You have to understand that maybe they're not 100% as good as you, but if you can get them at like 90% capacity of what you're doing, and then have like 10 of those people, even just 3 of those people, right? 3 of those people times 90%, 9, 18, 27, 270% of what you could do on your own. These guys are doing it automatically, and then you have the ability to work on whatever you want to work on at 115%, right? So think about expanding your team and trusting other people and getting them to perform. It's an eternal truth that people receive more pay for their ability to get others to perform than they could possibly earn by their own efforts, right? Leverage, guys. Leverage, okay? If you can get, you will receive more pay for your ability to get others to perform than you can possibly earn with your own efforts. Bam, right? If you got 10 people working for you and you got them working maybe even just 50% efficiency, that's worth way, way, way more than you, right? It's the same idea, the same principle with investments, right? If you can buy, okay, there we go. If you can get, I don't know, say 100 shares of a stock like Newell Brands, right? They pay like a 6-7% dividend. AT&T, they pay like a 7% dividend. If you can get 100 of those, all of a sudden that's 7 times 100, 700. You'd rather have 700% dividend than 1 share of stock, right? It's and it applies with other investments, right? But you want to be able to leverage where you're at and just not worry about others' ability to grow, right? So if you're teaching people maybe how to invest in something like real estate, right? If you can get them to buy 100 houses on leverage or margin or something, you can't be afraid that they're going to go and take that cash flow and steal it away from you. You have to be able to embrace that and take the risk and say, look, we're on the same team. I know it's going to work out, right? You have to have total and complete trust in your team / community. You know, like if you're teaching stuff, like you have to have trust that people are going to apply it and make results in their lives rather than just steal it and try to sell it or something like that. Like that's kind of where a lot of people are in the information age. You have to be able to stick with your guts and have total confidence in what you're doing. All right, makes sense? Sound good? Efficient leaders, through knowledge of their jobs and the magnetism of their personalities, greatly increase the efficiency of others and induce them to render more service and better service than they could by themselves. Very powerful. Number 5, lack of imagination. Without imagination, leaders are incapable of meeting emergencies and of creating plans by which to guide followers efficiently, right? This makes sense? This has to make sense, guys. We're looking at the 2 types of imagination here, right? You have to be able to connect with your subconscious. And strike creativity. And that all comes from just time to reflect, time to think, time to use that imagination to create more and more and more results in your life by focusing on your internal development and using those thoughts in your head to turn them into physical realities that are fundamentally creating a new spin on something or changing how people look at something, and using that to create a new opportunity based on this older one in the marketplace. Very, very powerful. All right, number 6. Selfishness is a big one. Leaders who claim all the honor for the work of their followers are sure to be met with resentment. Really great leaders claim none of the honors. They are content to see the honors go to their followers because they know that most people will work harder for commendation and recognition than they will for money alone. This is huge, right? People don't just work for money. You have to be able to give to them in other ways, especially emotionally, right? Like, this is the importance of emotional intelligence, right? You want to make sure that you're getting in front of these people and you're saying, hey, look, I'm going to give you this. This is also a really big concept in the 1 Minute Manager, right? And these are amazing, amazing, amazing books that I'll link below. The review videos for, because they're so great. With selfishness, right, you want to be able to focus on your team, focus on others, and give to them much more than you're taking for yourself, than you're bringing out for yourself, right? You don't want the honors, right? You give the honors to the team gets the honors, because it's a team accomplishment, right? Accomplishments, whatever you guys do, right? You want to say, look, this couldn't happen without a team, right? Never could happen without a team. It's a group effort. It's a collaborative effort, and everyone's working together because there's this huge idea that, you know, none of it would happen without the people that are working for, without the people that are following. You want to admire them and recognize them and be their biggest fan so that they are your biggest fan in return, and you have this symbiotic relationship where everybody's growing at the same time, and you have this massive level of growth in your personal and professional life with these people. They're going to accumulate, they're going to grow in your life, they're going to grow with you. So powerful. It all comes from this idea of removing your intent, removing your selfishness, and going hard on the people that you're working with as a method to turn up those results and create tremendously higher levels of value for the people that are working for you in ways besides money. It all comes down to like this emotional intelligence and this social recognition through 1 Minute Management, where you're giving praise and you're showing them that you care. That's going to make them care in return and jumpstart your business. Super big part right there. Huge concept. Number 7, intemperance. Okay, makes sense? Followers do not respect an intemperate leader. Moreover, intemperance in any of its various forms destroys the endurance and the vitality of all who indulge in it. Guys, this is so freaking true. I have this all the time. You can't be a dick, can't be mean, or mistreat the people, your followers, right? You can't mistreat them. I was yelled at so much at Subway, and it pissed me off so much, and it pissed off so many other people. That's why everyone left. That's why everyone was so upset, because they were being treated terrible. There was huge intemperance from management, and because of that, nobody liked the situations that they were in, and they freaking left. You don't want turnover. You want people leaving you. You want to create nice relationships, right? You wouldn't yell at your spouse or your family, right? You don't want to do that, right? You want to create a quality, nurturing relationship that's developing over time and growing in quality. And it's that same idea for employment. It's that same idea with the people you work with in the marketplace. You want to be happy, you want to spread cheer, and use that as fuel for faster business growth and faster expansion of whatever it is that you do, so that instead of, you know, being enemies, you're friends, right? And you're growing together. And it all comes down to this idea of happiness and not treating them like crap. You gotta like seriously connect with these people and care about them, and they'll care about you in return, and they'll care about your company, and they'll work harder to make it happen. Very powerful stuff. So, with that said, right, disloyalty. Perhaps this should have come at the head of the list. Leaders who are not loyal to their trust and to their associates, those above them and below them, cannot maintain their leadership. Disloyal marks people as being less than the dust of the earth. and brings down on their head the contempt they desire. Lack of loyalty is one of the major causes of failure in every walk of life. Guys, this is the stuff, we've been talking about it, we've been developing it, we've been expanding it throughout this whole thing. I mean, think about it, right? Like, you wouldn't cheat on your spouse and then expect to have an awesome, awesome relationship. It's the same thing with work. It's the same thing with your professional management. It's the same thing with your follower-leader relationships. You cannot, you gotta stay loyal, right? You have to stay committed. Stay committed, earnest, and radically truthful in the workplace, right? This is actually a really, really big concept that Ray Dalio talks about in Principles, is this idea of ridiculously radical transparency and using that as a way to increase overarching loyalty and trust for himself and the people that work in his company, right? So he runs, Bridgewater. In Principles, he talks about all these, the principles that he uses to run Bridgewater and all these management ideologies and philosophies and insights. And, the book review below to learn more about it. But the biggest thing with it is this idea of transparency and creating loyalty through trust, right? So he'll have a guy come in and record every single meeting and then post the recording up and an edited version of that recording for the entire company to see so that they can understand the decisions that are going on and audit internal regulations. All based, I mean, it was on the freaking news the other day, right? It's like they have people, they're showing, there's ginormous, massive cameras in this conference room. And these cameras, they have cameramen. I mean, they've got freaking everything and they're using them to record what's actually going on. So they've got 15 people at a table and they're just recording everything that they say, the entire meeting, and then they'll send it out to everybody and be like, hey, this is our decision we made, this is why we made it, here's our meeting, here's our condensed clip of the meeting. And this guy records everything, right? He's like a news channel for himself. And so it's this idea of creating very, very, very strong loyalty comes from these overarching management principles to make yourself a better leader and have people follow you much better, much stronger relationships than before, to create an insanely strong level of work connection with them so that they become really more personal friends, and use that as growth, as an insane way to grow. Very, very, very powerful. All right? Cool. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, check out those book reviews below because those books are amazing. So, number 9. Okay, cool. I'm gonna move it over here and hopefully that's enough space. I don't know, we'll see. Emphasis of the authority of leadership. Right, emphasizing your authority, your power. This comes back to the idea of holding power over the people that you work with. Remember, you want to treat them as equals, you want to treat them as friends. Efficient leaders lead by encouraging, not by trying to instill fear in the hearts of their followers. Leaders who try to impress followers with their authority come within the category of leadership through force. Real leaders have no need to advertise the fact except by their conduct, sympathy, understanding, fairness, and demonstration of knowledge on the job. All right? You create a position of expertise with simple daily actions. Right? You're not, going out there launching out rallies or rants or saying you're amazing, right? You have to be humble, right? You have to chill out and say, look, this is what I do, this is the stuff I do. If you want to follow me, great. If not, not a big deal. You can't be forceful on people. You have to let them come to you. It's that idea of specifically, right, if you're trying to help people, if you're trying to teach people, or maybe if you're trying to grow with other people, right? And you have this product or service or whatever you do for work in the marketplace. And you're trying to get people on your team, trying to get people to work with you. They'll come over to you, and you want to be like an authority, a position of power, just so that you can actually help them, right? Well, you got to understand, right? And this is a really great example from, I think it was FHL. I forget where this came from, but it was really awesome little guy. He's in his wheelchair, and he's just so powerful. And he talks about this example about what it's called helping people that swim towards you, right? So if there's a boat crash, and I'm gonna try to draw a little boat crash over here, and maybe it'll be really awesome, maybe it won't, I don't know. I think it's really good. And then the Coast Guard, right? So if there's a crash off the coast and the Coast Guard comes in, oh, that's supposed to be blue. All right, so we've got like our ocean. In our ocean, there are people everywhere. People fall out of the boat and they are stranded, you know, in this ocean. What the Coast Guard will do is they'll come and they'll fly in on their helicopter. But let's say that there's like, you know, 20 people here, and the Coast Guard can only take, you know, 8 people on their helicopter. What they have to do when they come in is they have to figure out who to save. And the way they do that is they save the people that swim towards them, right? So they have their guy in the helicopter, and, you know, he's flying up in the air in his helicopter, and he'll come down and he'll grab the people that are swimming towards him, and only the people that are swimming towards him, right? So the people that are swimming towards him get saved, and he can't do anything for the rest of the people. He only has a certain amount of space in the helicopter to save people. So when you're trying to emphasize authority, only really try to go towards and push yourself to grow with and create relationships with people that swim towards you and show interest in what you're doing. Because these people over here, like, he can't swim to them. He can't really save these people because he doesn't have enough space. And if they're not going to show the motivation and the initial push, right? Like, to get here, you guys went through, you know, a lot of the stuff that I do, and you showed commitment, you showed belief in yourself, you showed investment in your own education through time, money, energy. And so that's like differentiating yourself from a crowd, right? And jumping out and swimming towards the source of knowledge, swimming towards source of information. You want to do the same thing with leadership. You want to have your followers swim towards you, and then, you know, get in the helicopter and fly away with those guys, right? And go to new heights with them, because that's the group of people that are going to have the biggest impact, the biggest result with whatever it is that you do in the marketplace. And as a team, it all comes from this idea that you help the people that are swimming towards you because they're going to be the best performers. They're going to have the best results. And you just have to, you know, do your best, try to outreach and say, hey, swim towards me, I'll save you guys. But if they don't show the initiative and they don't swim towards you, you can't force yourself onto them. You can't have forced authority, right? You need to just have daily actions that showcase yourself and allow other people to come with you towards that. And you can try your best to get in front of them. But if you only have a certain amount of space, you just can't save everybody. You've got to save the people swimming towards you. You have to work with people swimming towards you. You have to grow with the people swimming towards you, and you have to really ignore the rest because you can't save everybody. You just can't please everybody. So, really, really powerful example there. And that'll bring us to our last little problem a lot of people have, and that is number 10. So, number 10. Ooh. Yeah, we can make it in blue, why not? Emphasis of title. Yeah, guys, oh my gosh, this is how you come across like a big, not nice guy. Competent leaders require no title to gain respect of their followers. Leaders who make too much of their title generally have little else to emphasize. The doors to the office of real leaders are open to all who wish to enter, and their working quarters are free from formality or ostentation. Look, this really comes back to you know, confidence in yourself. Or belief, like, right, belief in yourself, or like the idea that you already have success, right? You already have what you want, and so you don't need to have this massive job title to pump up your ego or pump whatever it is that you're doing up, because you already know, like, hey, we're good, right? I believe in this. I'm awesome. And so you're not worried as much about, like, you know, whatever your title is. It's more important to create a team and to have that team come together to create results in the marketplace and inspire other people to take action and have, you know, power for themselves, depending obviously upon the market you're working in. But really, it's more about this connection you have with your followers than, or if you are following the connection with the leader, then really the title or the description of the job or whatever. Like, that crap, it just really doesn't matter. You want to focus on yourself and make sure that you overcome, you know, this initial point of failure, because people don't want to feel insubordinated. They don't want to feel like they're not at the same level as you, right? Because that's going to discourage them. And you want to encourage people, you want them to grow, you want them to succeed, right? So just make sure if you're going out and you're trying to become a leader and you're trying to create massive levels of success and wealth in your life, you've got to avoid these common failures in leadership, because any one of them is really a big reason a lot of people fail, is if they overemphasize any of this stuff, you know, title especially, right? If you're like, you just don't want to come off as cocky. You don't want to come off as an ass. You want to be someone that people can connect with and use that as a way to create strong relationships with them. They're going to grow over time to help them succeed, to help you succeed. It's a mutual relationship, and everybody wins when you create a very, very nice community to grow with each other, and everyone's growing. It's really, really powerful. So make sure, study it carefully, aspire to leadership, make sure you're free of these faults. Very, very powerful, powerful underlying concepts here. And it all comes down to just keep on grinding, keep on going through this stuff. You guys are doing an amazing, amazing job. You're crushing it. Doing a great job out here, getting it done. It's really, really awesome. Hope you guys got a ton of value from this. I'll see you guys in the next module. Thank you so much. I'll see ya.